there. Alright, we are installing some Ramirez Designs rear fender liners on a 25 Gladiator JT. First thing you want to do after you've inspected and admired your artwork is the bolts come pre-assembled. These are the mounting bolts that go onto the existing body holes on the Jeep. So the first thing you need to do is remove all that. So first thing, get all these bolts out of the way. That was easy. Alright. Okay, now that we got all the hardware off, next thing you want to do is do a test fit and figure out the proper way to get these up in there. I'm still figuring it out myself. It's a little tight. You may have to manipulate the work a little bit. But what I found works is to take the back side, slide it into place first, and then rotate the front. And at one point, you're going to have to rotate the inside up in order to get it to snap up into place. Just like that, we are in. Holes lined up best you can. Get at least one bolt started to hold your work in place. Now you'll notice I switched to a different style of bolt. I had to go to this button head style. The reason for that is we're using aftermarket fenders. The way the aftermarket fenders mount, they do not line up with the same holes that the fender liner does. In fact, it only shares two, which is here and here. So what happens with the stock bolts, the heads are really thick on them. So we had to go with a bolt that has a thinner head on it to reduce the gap between the body and the fender. Still not perfect, we're not totally happy with it, but you got to run with what you brung, right? So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of these bolts started, and then we'll get right back to you. Okay, so what I've done, I've got all the bolts started. And you may have to start one here and one over here, and have to use something like a punch to stick through the hole and manipulate it to line the holes up. But I've already got these tightened up, which allowed me to get these two also lined up. I'm not going to put those in because those are shared with the aftermarket fenders that we're installing. So I'm actually going to be removing these two completely. If you have factory fenders, I believe you just remove the plastic tabs that attach, and they will share all of the same mounting points. So you'll remove the plastic tabs and instead insert the bolts that came with your fenders, these silver ones, and that's how you would attach it utilizing the factory fenders. Like I said, though, we went with aftermarket. Unfortunately, the fit and finish is not what we anticipated with the product that we got. I'm not going to blast anybody, so I'm not going to tell you who it is. But it's not quite working out the way we wanted. We're ended up with the gap between the body and the fender itself. But I'm going to go ahead and get this finished up, and we'll get back to you when I do. Okay, now like I said, we went with aftermarket fenders, and because of the way they mount utilizing different holes, this hole here is not utilized by the Ramirez fender liner. Problem is, there's no way for us to get a bolt on that to bolt up the aftermarket fender that does utilize that hole. So the way you get around that is we're going to install a nut sert, or riv nut, depending on terminologies. So I need to drill this hole out a little bit, then we'll insert the rib nut, and that will allow us to have a place to bolt in the fender. So the first thing we got to do is drill a hole in this brand new Jeep. It's always fun. That's 7/16 hole. I know a lot of people right now would take and put some paint on the inside of that. I'm not doing that. But as you can see, the M8, I'm using an M8 rib nut. Fits in there just fine. So, screw the rib nut onto the tool. Insert it into the hole. Apply slow, even pressure to both arms. Feel the resistance, and it's set. Simply unscrew the tool. Bada boom, bada bing, there it is. So now we have a spot where we can secure the bolt to attach the fender. Okay, and just like that, we got the fender liner and the fender mounted. Turned out pretty good on the passenger side, a lot better than the driver's side. We think the driver's side was actually warped in shipping, and that's what caused our issues. But just so you can see, that's where we installed the rib nut. That bolt right there is shared, as that one is shared. There's a bolt going into the fender liner right there. I'm trying to film and do this at the same time. So yeah, it turned out really good. Christian Ramirez knocked these fender liners out of the ballpark. Looks really good. And one more point of interest, we didn't film doing the driver's side, but one issue we ran into. This is the front side here. This is also where the fuel neck is and the fuel tube going into the fuel tank. It's behind this panel. Right here, that is a vent tube. It comes up next to the filler tube, and it has a canister on it. And the way the bracket was supporting that canister, it wouldn't allow the fender liner to go in. There wasn't enough clearance. To get around that, we removed the bracket. We're able to pull the canister for the vent tube up higher along the fill neck and secured it with good old-fashioned zip ties. Not the best solution, but hey, it's our solution and it worked. So that's what we went with, but we got that installed, and that's an issue you may have on a 25 Gladiator. I'm not sure about the older Glads, but it is what it is. So hope this video helps, and y'all have a smiley day.